The second leg of the UEFA Champions League playoff stages has started, and then we all know the big match. The big match is definitely the Real Madrid and the Manchester City game, and that's the match with most interest because Real Madrid, being the greatest club in the UEFA Champions League, against a Pep Guardiola Manchester City side, that has been a household name in the current UEFA Champions League, in the previous or in the recent UEFA Champions League seasons. And it's quite surprising that both of these clubs, or all these clubs, are playing the playoff stage in the new format of the UEFA Champions League. We'll be talking about that match. Carlo Ancelotti has granted his press conference. Pep Guardiola also has granted his press conference, and then they've said a lot of things. We'll be going through these things they've said. We'll analyze the match, and then we'll give us a prediction. Then Barcelona has returned or has increased in their salary cap in the Spanish La Liga. We'll also be talking about that. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Celebrating Sports. Yes, subscribe to the channel and also turn on post notification bell. And then you share for other people to also join the channel. Now let's start. Pep Guardiola, ahead of the match tomorrow at the Santiago Bernabeu, said they have only 1% chance of qualifying, and then the 99% is just fit. So 1% chance, 99% fit. And this is a meme we've been seeing, or this is something we've been seeing online on a regular. So if the chances of doing so, or the chances of getting something is very slim, you see 1% chance and then 99% fit. And that is what Pep Guardiola said his Manchester City side have tomorrow ahead of the match against Real Madrid. Mind you, Real Madrid are the cathedrals when it comes to the UEFA Champions League. They are the club that has won it the most. They've won it the most 15 times, or 15 times they've won the UEFA Champions League, and Manchester City has won it only once. They also have the quality. So after Pep Guardiola made this statement that Manchester City have only 1% chance and 99% fit, Carlo Ancelotti, he has a huge sense of humor though. Yes, for that you can't take that away from Carlo Ancelotti. He's a good manager, and also his sense of humor is also something is beyond imagination. He's very good, or he knows how to relate to the media and then how to make his players more comfortable and how to relate to the supporters. So he said tomorrow before the match he's going to greet Pep Guardiola and ask him as to whether it's true that they have only 1% chance and 99% fit. So saying that means Real Madrid have 99% chance in winning tomorrow's match, or in qualifying to the round of 16 of the UEFA Champions League. So that's what Carlo Ancelotti said. Now, as to what Pep Guardiola said, is it true? It's not entirely true, because Real Madrid won the first leg by 3 goals to 2 at the Etihad Stadium, and then tomorrow the match is going to be at the Santiago Bernabeu, which is the home grounds of Real Madrid. And we are all familiar, or we are all aware, that anytime Real Madrid plays a Champions League match at the Santiago Bernabeu, they always have the character, because they have the number 12 player to always support them, which is the supporters. So they have the supporters. When the need arises, they rise up to the occasion and they throw in the necessary support the players need. They cheer the players up to the highest level, or to make them, they push them for them to do what is beyond reasoning. That's what they do in the UEFA Champions League matches, and then tomorrow at the Santiago Bernabeu. So clearly you understand that Manchester City are underdogs in this particular match regarding the past results, or the results that came out of the first leg at the Etihad Sports Stadium. And Manchester City this season are not in good form. Yes, in the English Premier League they've had a very terrible season so far, losing some matches and losing matches from winning position and other things. They've gone through a hell this season in the English Premier League, and then even the Spanish La Liga. I remember them scoring 3 goals against Feyenoord, and Feyenoord came, they equalized that goals, and the match ended in a draw. That's something unusual about Manchester City, but recently their form is not at the highest level. So tomorrow, a very difficult game, but Madrid starts the match as favourites, especially playing at home, and also starting the match as the winners of the previous leg they played at the Etihad Sports Stadium. So they had a win away, and now they had the opportunity to play at home at the Santiago Bernabeu, which is their comfortable grounds, where they have majority of supporters to show in support. So that's actually something that is going to help. But one thing that is actually good, and something that is going to encourage Manchester City in this particular match, that's going to boost Manchester City in this particular match, is Omar Mamouche and then Nico Williams. Manchester City played the first leg without a typical number 6. So they deployed John Stones, or Pep Guardiola deployed John Stones to play as the number 6. Which John Stones, yes, he can play to some level, but not as a typical number 6. So after John Stones was substituted, was moved to the centre back role, Kovacic came in, and Kovacic, yes, he can play in some matches as a number 6, but he's not a typical number 6. So you could clearly see some mistakes or some poor decisions that these players make, sometimes out of position at that end. But this time, tomorrow, Manchester City would be fortunate enough to play the match with Nico Williams, who played in the Premier League match against Newcastle United and had a very good game. Yes, he had a very good game. And now another boost for Manchester City is Omar Mamouche, who scored a hat-trick against Newcastle United, but he didn't start in the first leg against Real Madrid. And I question Pep Guardiola for that, because you are going into a match where the team you are going to face does not have a natural right back and a natural right centre back. So Ronald Tchouameni, who is a midfielder, defensive midfielder, was the right centre back, and now Federico Valverde, who is a midfielder, was also the right back in that particular match. So what do you do? Instead of you to play Jack Grealish, yes, I understand why Pep Guardiola played Jack Grealish. I mean, to be able to contain the pressure of Real Madrid, sometimes to hold on to the ball, because you can't press for the entire 90 minutes. The players will be tired, they are humans. So I understood why he played Jack Grealish in that match. But unfortunately, Jack Grealish suffered an injury at the early stages of the game. So after you were substituting Jack Grealish off, who then did you bring in? Now Savino didn't have that good game, and that's the highest stage Savino hasn't experienced before. So what then do you do? Start Phil Foden. Now play Omar Mamouche on the right, where two players from the opposition side who are defending are uncomfortable in that particular positions. So you do that, put Omar Mamouche, who has the pace, who has the ability to take on players, to run with those uncomfortable players in that particular positions. But people decided to play Savio, bring on Phil Foden, set Phil Foden to the right, and then bring on Savino on the left, and that couldn't do well for Manchester City. Let's be honest with that. So now going into this particular match where Omar Mamouche scored a hat-trick against Newcastle United, coming into that game with a good form with Erling Haaland, I think that is a good boost for team Manchester City. Now, I said this, I commented this, or this opinion, or what I thought of Lucas Vazquez's injury under someone's post on Facebook. But some people might think it's a bit insane though. But I said the injury of Lucas Vazquez was a blessing in disguise for Real Madrid. People did not understand me initially until I explained, and I know that's how you feel until I explain. Because how can you say that someone's injury is a blessing to the club? Meanwhile, the player is suffering. The player is sidelined. Real Madrid are playing matches with limited players. You see, Lucas Vazquez is not a natural right back, and he's old. Now he's a winger. Lucas Vazquez is more of an attacking player than a defensive player. So anytime Lucas Vazquez plays as a right back, he surges forward, he tries to add up to the attackers and create chances, but his recovery sometimes is always late, and therefore opponents take advantage of the spaces he leaves behind and then capitalize on it and punish Real Madrid. So Ancelotti, with the availability of Lucas Vazquez, will decide to play Lucas Vazquez as the right back because he thinks that in some matches Lucas Vazquez has been doing well, but in difficult matches where you need players who can recover quickly, who can recover to bring that stability in the defensive line, you should rest Lucas Vazquez and then go in for a certain player who can attack, even if not at the level of Lucas Vazquez or Dani Carvajal, who can attack and defend at a time, or at the right time. You bounce back at the right time in order to maintain that stability in the defensive line for Real Madrid. So go in for Federico Valverde, who has shown in the matches he has played as a right back that he is a good player who can recover balls anytime Madrid loses the ball and opponents are trying to attack them. So in the first leg, you clearly saw that Federico Valverde as a right back did a very, very good job, and that backed and justified my statements that Lucas Vazquez's injury was a blessing in disguise. Now, if Lucas Vazquez played as a right back in that particular match, Pep Guardiola, I know he's very intelligent and very smart, he would have taken advantage of his weakness and deployed a player who is more quick, who is more tricky, who is more skillful, and who is more deadly to take advantage of that Lucas Vazquez space he would have left behind. But with Federico Valverde, everything was intact. It worked perfectly well for Real Madrid, and that is what I was talking about. And I think tomorrow Valverde is actually going to play as the right back ending, because Ancelotti said he will be on the bench. Vazquez will be on the bench for the match, but he wouldn't be able to start. He's not 100% fit to start in that particular match. Now, the good news is that Antonio Rudiger and then David Alaba will be available for that particular match, and it's a good news. As to whether they are going to start this, it depends on the coach. Now, let's move on to FC Barcelona. But don't forget to subscribe to the channel. It's Albertine Sports on YouTube, and also join us on other social media platforms. Albertine Lopez on Facebook, and then Albertine Lopez 2 on TikTok, and then on Twitter is Albertine Media. Now, one person Barcelona fans need to clap their hands for, they respect him the most, is Joan Laporta. I know Joan Laporta has made some decisions as the president of the club that are quite uncomfortable, that are quite, strange or weird, but you can never doubt the administration, the management skills, economic management skills, and the football administration. You can never doubt that. You can never doubt Joan Laporta from doing that. He took Barcelona when they were in the economic crisis, and the club was sinking in the river or in the water. It took Joan Laporta to rescue the club. And I know Paul has been criticizing. I've heard Victor Font, who was a presidential candidate in the just ended elections, where Joan Laporta won, and that one is actually a political talk. So I don't want to concentrate, or I don't want to emphasize on that. That's a political talk. Now, but with what Joan Laporta has done with FC Barcelona, now FC Barcelona, the salary cap of FC Barcelona has increased from 427 million euros to 463 million euros. That's actually outrageous, because this man took over FC Barcelona when the salary cap was 98 million euros. Now, people might not understand the meaning of salary cap or what the salary cap means. Now, every club in the Spanish La Liga is being restricted as to the amount of money you need to pay your players in a particular year, or in a particular season. So how is this calculated? So they check the club's revenue minus the expenditure. Now they consider the profits. That's the money they have. The club's revenue they generated at the end of the entire season minus their expenditure. So with the revenue minus the expenditure, the remaining money, which is not a loss, which is the profit, is what Barcelona are going to, or is what the club are going to use in the following season's administration, both player recruitment, like signing of players in the first team, in the reserve teams, the youth teams, and other things, coaching staffs and other things. So Juan Laporta took over when Barcelona's salary cap was 98 million euros. 98 million euros, a huge club like Barcelona in 2021. Now he took over, and in February 2022, he moved the salary limit to 144 million euros, from 98 million to 144 million euros. Now in September 2022, it moved to 656 million euros. Now, with this 656 million euros, that was the time Barcelona activated those levers, because they appointed Xavi Hernandez as the head coach, and they needed to sign players to make sure the supporters or the club will be attractive for the supporters to throw in that support they need. So they signed those, or they activated the levers, they recruited players, they registered those players. Now on February 2023, the salary cap now dropped from 656 million euros to 648 million euros. And in September 2023, it dropped drastically because Barcelona didn't activate more levers in September 2023. So it dropped to 270 million euros. And Barcelona didn't make any huge signings in that particular transfer. The only transfer I remember they did was Oro Romeo. That was in the 2023-2024 season. Was Oro Romeo. So they didn't sign a lot of players. So they didn't activate a lot of players. So they didn't need huge money to register players. So the salary cap dropped to 270 million euros. Now in February 2024, the salary from 270 million euros also dropped to 204 million euros. 204 million euros. Now, in September 2024, it increased over 100% increment to 426 million euros. That's when I say, anytime you wake up as a Barcelona fan, clap your hands and commend Juan Laporta for what he has done after activating the levers to sign players, register them for the club to win the Spanish La Liga in the Super Cup, to make the club attractive for the supporters. He now stood back and now revived the economy again. And now Barcelona had a salary limit of 426 million euros. Now it has moved from 426 million euros, and now February 2025, the salary limit of FC Barcelona is 463 million euros. Now, Juan Laporta confirmed that Barcelona has returned to the 1:1 rule, which means Barcelona can spend any amount of money they generate or any profits they get from their end of year budget or end of year like administration. So after Barcelona, let's say Barcelona ends up with a revenue of 600 million euros and minus the expenditure is left with 100 million euros. That means Barcelona can spend the whole 100 million euros in player recruitment and the registration of the players, and that's the good thing. So Juan Laporta has done a very good job for FC Barcelona, and I think it's high time we start to respect him, we start to give him the accolades he deserves as a president of FC Barcelona. Don't forget to subscribe to your channel. Subscribe and also turn on the post notification bell.